When creating the sack of flour, I used some plasticine to mould shapes of the sack of flour into some emotions and feelings that I was wanting to capture in my animation. In particular, despair and general unhappiness was something that I wanted to capture in the plasticine. I also then drew up some concepts for how the sack of flour would express these emotions. When designing the animation, for the most part, I took inspiration from traditional animation where it's like mostly black and white, but I did draw upon a film called The Red Balloon just a little bit, which is a silent French film made in 1956, where most of what is in the film is black, white and muted colours except for the balloon, because that represented the little boy's happiness. Here are some doodles of me creating the walk cycle and some of the planning that went into it. So we used the walk cycle of a man or a person just to sort of give an idea of like how things move when they walk. As you can see, it goes up and down when they're walking. I tried to create this bouncing effect in my planning doodles of the sack of flour moving. And in particular, I needed to sort of show the squash and stretch effect, so that, to really show the weight of the flour, like where the flour actually is within the sack of flour, along with the poses for when it's passing. And also I just tried to show that the sack of flour, when it's walking, is actually quite upbeat, because at this point he's still got his balloon and he's pretty happy with himself. Here is a video example of what it looked within the final film. I also broke down the movements for the sack of flour when it was falling over. And I also created just a little plan here of the sack of flour getting up as well, because that was a bit of a complicated movement. I also wanted to incorporate the idea of anticipation into the animating of the sack of flour crying. Really made sure that the sack of flour really reached back and really exaggerated the movement of crying, and the tears are really just cartoonish and dramatic, so that the audience is aware exactly what is going on. When I was finalising the animation, I noticed that there was an issue with the colour of the sack of flour. I didn't fill in the colour when I first did it, so when I saw the finished video, I could see that particularly when it was tripping over the triangle object, that you could see just the line work and that it just didn't look right, so I made sure to fill in the colour for that. The other thing as well is that when I showed it to the teacher, he noticed that that the animation itself was just too fast, and that there needed to be more work done in terms of like just giving the animation time to breathe and just letting it be a bit slower in parts that the action would have required it for. For example, when the animation first hits the ground, when you fall, you don't tend to get up straight away. And so I incorporated that into my final animation.